provides this opportunity for residents so they can get to know the candidates better. We appreciate your attendance and we look forward to an informative evening. At the end of the forum, we will be holding a reception in the back, so please try to stay and enjoy them, and it'll give you an opportunity to speak with the candidates one-on-one. There will be an opportunity for the audience members to ask questions. Several have already been submitted here during the program. If you didn't pick up a note card, they're in the back as you enter the room. Please flag down Adela or Eddie. They're in red, walking down, if you still have a card, and they'll pick it up and bring it up here to us. Please note that we can't get to all the questions. As you can see, we already have several and we have limited time, so please be patient. Lupi Estrella, our Assistant City Clerk, and I will be sorting the questions and placing them in priority that address the majority of the audience's subject matter concerns. Does that make sense? So that we can get most of your questions. Okay. Now I have the privilege of introducing tonight's moderator. We are very fortunate to have retired Los Angeles County Judge Michael Duggan overseeing the forum tonight. Judge Duggan will be following the city's rules and procedures as he moderates the forum. Judge Duggan retired from the Superior Court bench after having served 20 years in neighboring city of West Covina Courthouse. After retirement, he was a judge in Pomona and in several other courts throughout the state where he filled on and as needed to cover the judicial vacancies. Over the years, he was a soldier, lawman, scoutmaster, part-time law school teacher, flight instructor, a commercial business jet pilot, and test pilot for the experimental airplanes. He is a published author and a student of the Bible. Judge Duggan lives here in Verne together with his wife, children, and grandchildren. Welcome, Judge Duggan, and thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is inspiring to see so many, like me, citizens of this community that have come out to learn more about the candidates. And this is democracy in action. I'm very grateful that you're here. I'm going to do my best to get your questions answered. Let's begin and get things moving. Those of you that have the ability to stand, I'd like to lead you in the Pledge of Allegiance. Those of you who are not able to do so, well understood. All right, to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. You may be seated.
He just slipped. He's fine. Yeah, he just, yeah.
All right, I think we can resume the course of business.
Sorry.
Let me tell you something about gravity. It's cruel, but it's fair. It applies to the agile and the clumsy alike. Now then, I'm going to present some ground rules. All of these candidates are already wired into this. I don't need to speak to them about this, but I want you to know what's going on so that you don't figure some razzle-dazzle's happening. I'll explain to you what's going on, and then we will present this evening in 3 movements. The first movement will be, I'm going to let them make an opening statement. The second movement will be the nuts and bolts of the evening. They're going to answer your questions. And the third movement is, I'm going to give them a chance to cover whatever they want. Everything is going to be timed, but I'll give them a chance in case anything got missed. They can just say what they want to say. And then there are going to be refreshments outside. So, let's cover the ground rules. And gentlemen and madam, I know you know this stuff and it's not needed, but I'm going to say it for the benefit of everyone to hear it. On the issue of decorum, we will observe the decorum, good order, and civility in an atmosphere of mutual respect. I don't need to tell you that, but I said it anyway. Now I'll remind everyone that this is not a debate. This is the political season. We've seen a lot of stuff on TV. We're not going there. There will be, please, no banter, discussion, arguments between the candidates. Although these good people are on the same stage, and although I'm sure they would want to challenge each other with their strongly held good faith beliefs, they're really here to answer your questions. And so we're not going there for debate. We're going to give them a chance to ask questions, and hopefully you're going to cover that. The questions. There's a pile of questions here. We are clustering them together in like forms so that we can cover 2 or 3 at a time, because some of them cover the same material. I reserve the liberty, the privilege to paraphrase the questions. I don't anticipate any problems. I'm going to do my best to try to cover whatever it is that you're asking. But if you're asking a question and there's 3 other people that ask the same question, it may not be asked of these candidates exactly in the form that you wanted it asked. I'm just trying to let them cover the topic. Okay. You have already filled out the cards, and the cards will continue to come in during the presentation. Whether we get to them or not, who knows? But we're going to try. You have 4 flavors of asking questions. You can ask questions to a specific candidate, and that question will go to that specific candidate. You can ask questions of the mayoral candidates, and we have 2 candidates for mayor. I'm going to introduce them momentarily, and those questions will go to those 2 candidates. You can ask questions only, if you wish, to the candidates for city council, and that question or those questions will go only to those candidates, and the mayoral candidates will be able to just sit that out and gather their thoughts. Or you can ask questions shotgun to everybody, and we will give everybody a shot at answering the question. Time limits. Here's the way it's going to be. The opening statements, 3 minutes. The closing statements, 3 minutes. You're going to have a yellow warning card held up that gives you the 30-second warning. And then when you get to the end of the time period, the timer will hold up the stop sign. Now, somewhere in here, I'm told, is the chief of police, so please don't run a stop sign. I don't want him to have to give you a ticket. Okay, so that's pretty much the size of that. Okay, the other thing is, to be fair, yes, the Secretary of State has given a sequence, a randomized sequence for candidates. To be fair, we will start with that, and thereafter, every question that comes up when it's 2 or more respondents, we will advance one name down the list so that the same guy isn't always given a 9-minute head start to collect his thoughts, and the first guy is right out the gate got to come up with an answer. We're going to make it as fair as we can that way. There is a matrix. The people here will hand that to me and keep me on track for that. Okay, I think I will now tell you that there are 2 mayoral candidates, and they are Mr. Don Kendrick and Mr. Tim Hepburn, and those 2 will respond sort of in a separate pool from the other candidates who are here for City Council. And I'm just going to begin and say the randomized statement. Mr. Hepburn, you're going to go first, and I'm going to throw you the toughest question of the evening, and all of you are going to get the same question. You ready? Here it is. Please tell us about yourself and why we should support your candidacy. You have 3 minutes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. I'm honored to be sitting here on the stage speaking to you about a subject I care deeply, Laverne. I'm running for mayor because I know I can help Laverne. I can help it grow and prosper in a time where the needs of Laverne are ever changing. Moreover, I want to help. I want to get involved on a deeper level because that's how I think cities thrive. When concerned residents like myself and others get involved and make decisions necessary to create the city they want to live in. But I also want you to know who I am and why I think I can help Laverne as mayor. I'm 59 years old for 3 days, married to my wife Patty for 36 years, 2 sons, a daughter-in-law, son-in-law, and proud to announce our first grandchild born 3 weeks ago. I own a successful electrical and datacom contracting business with 26 employees for the past 26 years. I come from a big Italian-German family where we get together, eat, argue, and laugh on a regular basis. My wife Patty is a nurse, works in neonatal intensive care for over 35 years. Together as a team, we have been very connected to our community. I have coached, managed, or sponsored every team our kids have been involved within Laverne Schools, sports clubs. We were in charge of and raised money for Bonita High Sports for over 10 years, working at the Bonita Snack Bar, along with hundreds of volunteers and family friends. Most of our time has been spent to help others. If our fundraising had not brought us what we needed, we donated it. I didn't do these things for a political reason. I did them because that's what neighbors do. I did that because that's the type of neighborhood I want to live in, because I care about our residents, our schools, and our kids. This is who I am, who I've always been. I love my community. Throughout my many years of instrumental involvement with the community, I've found that the best results come when you listen to others. As mayor, I will always listen to the residents. I will keep our city safe, fiscally sound, and thriving when it comes to the economy. To get the community more involved, let's televise our monthly meetings. Let's form community groups when we have specific projects. The future of the city should be in the hands of the residents. So if elected mayor, just as I have been doing as council member, I will listen to the residents. I'm about quality changes, bringing more of our tax dollars to Laverne, keeping our residents here by having more quality choices right here in our own town, like Sprouts and new restaurants. Young families should want to spend their recreation time with friends and family right here in Laverne. I know how to lead, I know how to get things done. I'm not one for talk and not action. I'll take the same approach running the city the same way I have my business the past 26 years. I'm results driven. I have the leadership, the passion, and the determination to be mayor of Laverne. Thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you, Councilman. The current mayor, Mr. Kendrick, gets the next question. Sir, you have 3 minutes to answer. Please tell us about yourself and why we should support your candidacy.
Thank you, Judge. As most of you know, I have been the mayor for 8 years. I think what's more important is what's happened during those 8 years. And what has happened is we've gone through the worst recession since the Great Depression in the 30s, and it's affected the city. We've had a loss of property revenue from home values dropping. We've had sales tax drop because businesses have closed and people have stopped spending, and the state took away money that we used to balance our budget. 6 years ago, we did something that was very important to the future of the city. One is we created the first economic development program the city has ever had. This created a marketing promotion program to expose Laverne, began aggressively meeting with desired businesses who wanted to come to Laverne, as well as property owners and brokers locally. And we began hosting yearly breakfasts with all local centers, owners and brokers on how Laverne could be better at seeing what their needs are and getting those businesses in our community. We also started a capital improvement program, first one ever, so we could plan on improving and keeping our city the best it can be. Today, property taxes are up 5.9% per year. Median home prices are higher than they were at the peak of '06. Foothill vacancy rates are at a 7-year low of 6% and dropping. Opened 88 new businesses last year, and that was added on to the 55 to 60 new businesses for the 2 years before that. And the Old Town restaurants that we all like to go to had an increase in the last 4 years from 3.8 million to 8.1 million. And I think all of you go there and you can ensure. But what's the most important thing in Laverne? Public safety. It's why we live here. It's what our quality of life is. It's a safe place to be. In the fire department, we maintained services the entire 8 years without exception. 1 year, which was at the deep depth of the recession. And at that time, we needed to spend a little less, and we did. It's all back up soon. We purchased a new ladder truck for $1.1 million. And the special fund was created so those building 3-story buildings paid for that fire truck, and you see it going around our city today. We maintained fire department. Prop 109, and I hope we get into this, Prop 47 and Prop 57 has increased crimes in homes and businesses. My business was broken into on Bonita on Monday night. More cars, more injuries to police officers, and we need to keep our staff, police staff, at the highest level possible. That is our quality of life. That's the most important thing to the residents of Laverne. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kendrick. The remaining candidates are applicants or contestants or candidates for City Council. So I'll ask the same question in the sequence determined by the Secretary of State, Mr. Garwick. If you please tell us about yourself and why we should support your candidacy.
Yes, of course, thank you. It's an honor to be here. My name is Keith Garwick. The kids will all know me as Officer Garwick. And I'd like to start off by thanking everybody for being here. My family is here, my wife and my oldest son, they're out there somewhere. And the candidate sitting next to me, you don't have any bad choices, and I'm proud to call each and every one of these people sitting at this table a friend of mine. What I'd like to do is briefly tell you about me and my background, and that'll give you some more insight on how I approach things. I wasn't born in the city. I was a Marine Corps brat, and we moved around every 2-3 years. Every 24, 36 months, Dad would come home and tell us to pack. These travels took us all around the world. Born in Hawaii, high school in London, England, and then to West Point, to the military academy for college. Graduated from the military academy, a class of 1988, and I went to Germany. It was East Germany at the time, where I served in the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment watching Soviet troop movements. 1991, we deployed to war, and we fought the Republican Guards. I earned a Silver Star for my contribution in combat, and after I got out of the Army, we moved to Los Angeles. My wife's a Claremont girl, so it was a logical choice. I ran into Laverne and I fell in love with the place. I became a police officer in 2002, and from 2002 to 2015, I had the privilege of serving here as a police officer. 5 of those years were as a school resource officer at Bonita High School. And this is the most amazing town I've ever run into. The way that I solve problems is by asking questions. And I don't have all the answers. I seldom have the answers to start with. But when I ask enough questions and I get the right people, we find the right answers. That's how I approach things. This is a very well-run city. It's a fantastic place to raise your family. That's why I chose to move here and be part of this community. I ask you to vote for me and let me continue my public service to you, not just to make the city better and better, but let's go for that extra mile. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Garwick. Mr. Muir Davis, if you please, tell us about yourself and why we should support your candidacy.
Thank you. Good evening. I want to thank the city for hosting this event. I'm happy to be here with my fellow Laverne City Council candidates. This is quite a class. I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to you here tonight. My name is Muir Davis. I have lived in Laverne most of my life. My family has been in Laverne for 4 generations, and I expect that my family will continue to be in Laverne for a very long time. I want to serve Laverne now and help Laverne for the long term, for the generations yet to come. I have and continue to participate in our schools, our community, at work, and at church. I readily accept both leadership positions as well as supporting positions. I'm an applied mathematician at Edison. My job uses my ability to solve complex problems. I use my math skills to solve problems that need but do not have answers. There is no back of the book containing answers to these problems. I'm eager to use these same skills to address the challenges that our community faces. I want to make the budget sustainable. I want to enhance our community safety, and I want our community actively engaged with each other and the council. We have an excellent community that provides safety and high-quality living. Our services are first-rate. Laverne has structural budget deficit that has been managed and closed each year with one-time payments or other cash infusions, but since 2010, our reserves have gone untouched and they have grown. I want to support this financial performance and help make it more sustainable by removing some of the anxiety we've grown accustomed to live with within the budgeting process. I also want to boost community engagement by facilitating fractional opportunities for engaging the city government versus adding commissions that require many, many hours from residents. I'm also a big supporter of biking and active transportation. Streets are safer when neighbors are out and about. I support Laverne's effort to get bicycle paths connecting each and every school. I want to encourage you all to ride while children are riding to and from their school. I want to see our streets active with riders, young and old. I want our residents to see that riding supports healthy students, healthy neighbors, and an engaged community. I grew up in Laverne riding my bike from home to school, to Hillcrest to visit my grandmother. I rode all over town. Laverne is also becoming a bicycling destination for those in our area. I want to support this and leverage it so that our community and our commerce benefit from cyclists visiting Laverne. So I ask, please support me as a candidate for the Laverne City Council. Please vote for me and tell your friends and neighbors to vote for me too. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. The next candidate is Mr. George Carr. If you please, sir, tell us a little bit about yourself and why we should support your candidacy.
Thank you. Friends, Laverne has been my home since I was 8 years old, attending Oak Mesa Elementary, Ramona Middle School, and Bonita High School, where I served as my class president. It's where I was raised and where I want to raise my family. I know Laverne for its hometown virtues, fantastic schools, quality public safety, thriving small business economy, and tranquil living. I represent a movement to bring young and proactive leadership to our city government. As Laverne's 24-year-old homegrown candidate, my perspective has been shaped by all of the positive experiences I've had in our community, whether it's growing up in Laverne, attending our stellar schools, or playing in our city tennis programs, where I've volunteered as a tennis coach since 2010. As your next council member, I will ensure these elements and services are made even more accessible by working to preserve what we've created while expanding into new ventures, including new activities for our seniors, more city-sponsored family social events and outings, showcasing our community by bringing new entertainment, shows, concerts, musicals, and festivals to our parks and schools. I'll address concerns we already know exist: traffic, maintaining our downtown, and Laverne's tranquil lifestyle setting by creating citizen-based commissions that give feedback directly back to our city government. As a proven team player, I will work with council members and community members to ensure a budget that meticulously takes into account the costs of maintaining what we've created while reevaluating where we can better spend our dollars. This means determining if we can reallocate more funds into community development and re-engagement, which currently each make up 5% and 6% respectively of our general fund use of revenues. I also support creating economic opportunities for small businesses through small business partnerships and revamped marketing. Education is important to me. My background as a dual degree, JD MBA law student and business school student have shown me and given me a reminder about the importance of higher education and job opportunities for our youth. I'll ensure our students have more access to admission contacts from universities and colleges. I'll establish a new mentoring program that creates a nexus between our local leaders and our youth, showing youth about new educational and business opportunities that they might not have known about. I'll work to create more local internship opportunities which help our high schoolers gain valuable life experience while building a more attractive and competitive resume. As a young leader with the guiding values of truth, commitment, and belief, I'm ready to use my talents and entrepreneurial spirit to make our great city even greater. There might even be a reason why I not only serve
Thank
as
you,
my
Mr.
class
Carr.
president, but most likely to save the world. Vote George Carr on March 7th.
Mr. Carr, thank you. The next candidate is a city councilwoman, Robin Carter. If you please tell us about yourself and why we should support your candidacy.
I will. Well, good evening, and thank you for coming out tonight. My name is Robin Carter, and I am running for re-election to our Laverne City Council. I have served the last 8 years on our council, and I am asking for your vote on March 7th. I have 3 areas of focus I am going to discuss: the past, the present, and the future. First, the past. My passion for children has always been my motivating factor, so in 1995, I was elected to Bonita Unified School District Board of Education, and I served 9.5 years. When I decided to step down, I stayed involved by chairing the school bonds that have brought our community the modernization at all of our schools, with addition to Bonita and Ramona receiving new construction of a gym for the students to enjoy. Then in 2009, when I was first elected to the City Council, our country was entering the terrible recession. Businesses were hurting, residents were losing their jobs, their houses, and their livelihoods. The vacancy rate at our shopping centers were high. The main anchor stores were moving out of town. Our city was concerned about balancing our budget while keeping the high standards of service that we offer our citizens. Public safety was and is still my main concern, and with creative financing, we were able to fight through the hard times and keep these services intact. Now the present. I am pleased to report that now every shopping center in Laverne has an anchor store or is in the planning stages of occupying soon. I serve as the liaison for the city with the Chamber of Commerce, and about 6 years ago, with the assistance of our city staff, we all came together for a planning session with the subject being, how do we market Laverne more successfully? Well, the outcome has been good. In March, Sprouts will be opening on the corner of Foothill and Wheeler, occupying the old Steinmart building. I serve on the Youth Sports Committee, and we work with the sports groups to make sure that they have all the needs to be successful. Our local schools are excellent, and with the partnership with our school district, we are able to work together with our students and the children in our community. I am still actively involved with our district, serving on the Education Foundation and as a member of the Ed Jones Memorials Golf Tournament. I am honored to have the endorsement of all 5 school board members whom are here tonight. Working together, we can all make a difference in a child's life. This brings us to the future. It is an exciting time for Laverne. Thanks to all of you, the goal line is coming. I am a board member and a secretary on the Metro Gold Line, and I will continue to work to create a transit plaza and station that we can all be proud of. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Councilwoman Carter. The next candidate is Mr. Matthew Lyons. Sir, could you please tell us a little about yourself and why we should support your candidacy?
Thank you very much. Please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Matthew Lyons, and I have the unfortunate position of being the last on the ballot. But please feel free to skip all of the others and vote, saving the last or the best for last. But you know what? I wouldn't be up here if it weren't for the unwavering support of my family. And my wife and son have been rock stars through this whole campaign to date. And I think they're owed a little bit of recognition. So Elizabeth and Evan, could you please stand? And I want to thank you with the bottom of my heart. Public service is a family commitment, and you not only get me, but you get my family. Of all the 5 candidates here, my family doesn't go back to the founding of the city. I'm not the incumbent. Truth be told, I grew up in San Dimas, so I'm an immigrant from San Dimas. But you know what? I lived close enough. And my very first job in college was working at the Laverne Car Wash. And I had the pleasure of growing from that cashier position. And at the age of 22, I was tapped to manage their second location. So it was a great college job, a great learning experience that one allowed me to pay my way through college, learn some great life lessons, some wonderful responsibility, buy my first home, get married, and then my wife and I very intentionally chose Laverne to raise our family. This is a great city, and my core focus will be continuing to build on the good city that we are, with citizen-focused, keeping the interests of the citizens at the forefront of all that I do, and really look at how can we build our community? How can we grow from our successes of past and current councils? And you know what? Time and time again, I've proven that I'm able to show up, add value, and provide solutions. I've done that both professionally and personally. Personally, I've been very involved at my son's school, which is Grace Miller, and now Ramona Middle School. I've shown up and added value as a PTA member. I currently serve on the Bond Oversight Committee for Bonita Unified School District, and I'm proud to say that I'm the candidate endorsed by the Bonita Unified Teachers Association. So please join the local teachers and support me on March 7th. I'd be honored to be your next council member.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. I want to say 2 things, and one is that we give appreciation for Darlene Foy, who is our timer, keeping us. She does a good job in the Community Development Department. And I also want to thank these candidates. They have committed themselves and a lot of effort to be here. It's important. I live here too. It's important that we put good and honorable people in a position to give us leadership. And we owe all of these people, no matter how we vote, we owe all of them our appreciation and a round of applause. At least do that. This now concludes the first movement. We now enter into the nuts and bolts of the second movement. And just so you know, we're going to be straight up honest and fair about the whole thing. When we get around to the closing comments, the order that you saw launch will be the reverse order, so that we give those that were first last and those that were last first on the way back. Now then, several questions have come in on the same subject, and I'm going to paraphrase it. And basically, a number of people want to know your views on the full-service city, and that is, in essence, I'm going to translate that to my nomenclature, and that would be contracting out city services. Fire and police were particularly mentioned, but I imagine the crux of the question deals with, what are your views about calling in outside agencies instead of committing to full-time city employees? The sequence for this begins with Mr. Kendrick.
How much time?
2 minutes.
I have lived here all my life, as has Muir. And it goes back way back in 1906. The very first employee that was hired in the city of Laverne was not the city manager, but it was a police chief. It was over 110 years ago. They decided the most important thing was for this city to be safe, and so that was the first employee they hired. It has continued to this day that Laverne has had its own police department for that same reason. We have officers that spend 30 years here, get to know the people, get to know the streets, get to know everything about this community. If we contracted out, we would have a sheriff's department that would be coming through this city, but not nearly as often, in my opinion. We could not afford the same level of service with the sheriff's department that we enjoy today. And every 3 years, those officers are rotated someplace else, so we start over with brand new officers. Not that the sheriff's officers aren't good. I think ours are better. It's important that we keep our own police department. I think we're a safer city with it. Our fire department is equally important. We satisfy 80% of our calls, emergency medical calls, within 4 minutes. Nobody does that. And so we have 3 stations, 1, 2, and 3 downtown on Wheeler and on Esperanza that satisfies this goal to our residents. We have a lot of seniors in this community. They do an amazing amount of volunteer work. And so it's important to us that we satisfy the need of health and benefits for our community that comes from our fire department. Those are the most expensive things in our city. It represents about 67%. If you look around buildings, we don't have a fancy community center, fancy city hall. We spend our money where it belongs, and that's providing services to our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Kendrick. The same question will be posed to Mr. Garwick.
Thank you. That's a big question. And I'm going to start off by telling you that our first responders in this city are spectacular. I've served right alongside with them for well over a dozen years. Pursuits, chases, rescues, perform CPR, administer first aid, whatever I can do. And I have to tell you that I cannot see any reason to rush to judgment one way or the other. If I'm in trouble, if my family's in trouble, I want somebody there to help, and I'm not going to get picky about what uniform they're wearing. If we're in trouble here in this city, we're going to need outside help, and that's just the reality of it. It's a great department, it's a great fire department, it's a great police department, but in a true serious emergency, we need additional resources. I do not see the reason to just exclude one option over the other if there's middle ground between the two, and I hear a lot of arguments both ways. County, full service. I got to tell you, it's a compelling argument each way, and I think it deserves a lot of conversation. It's going to be a lot of discussion, a lot of debate, a lot of dissent, and I welcome that. I think that there's a good option here that we will find between the two. When push comes to shove, however, I know that our first responders will be there when we need them. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The same question now goes to Mr. Muir Davis.
Thank you very much. Outsourcing is a challenging piece of work. It takes a lot of consideration, and we'd want to look at more than just the frontline costs that are dangled out in front of us. I'm not saying that I'm wedded to a full-service city, although I have grown up in it, and I did appreciate and learned how to deal with and manage the transition from a volunteer fire department to a professional fire department. A lot of it had to do with property values and insurance costs. I think that we would see insurance costs and property values potentially change if we extended service to outside organizations. So I would want to take into consideration a multitude of issues before we made a commitment one way or the other. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. George Carr, the same question, sir.
I absolutely support the idea of a full-service city. I think that the reason that our first responders are so effective is that they've gotten to know the community and we've gotten to know them. As Mayor Kendrick noted, the response times are very quick, and that's something that we have to be extremely grateful for. I'm absolutely against contracting out. A lot of unincorporated cities contract their services out, and their services are completely horrendous compared to the services that we have. And that's something that we as a city, we as a community need to absolutely do everything to avoid. In terms of, there was also a mention about keeping our full-time city employees. I'm absolutely in favor of keeping full-time city employees. The reason, again, that we have such a successful community and such a successful infrastructure is because we keep our people, and we invest in our people, and we trust our people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Todd. Councilwoman Carter, the same question, if you please.
Well, 3 minutes wasn't long enough for me to get to everything I wanted to say. You serve 8 years, there's so much to talk about. But actually, my final statement was, and I'd like to read it to you, is I want to leave you all with the most important aspect of our city, public safety. I promise each and every one of you that I will maintain and protect the security that we all love about Laverne through having our own police and fire departments. I believe very strongly that this community deserves and wants us to have our own fire and police. I have talked to so many people. That's something that I committed to when I became councilwoman 8 years ago, is that I would be out there walking and talking to people. I want to know what you want and what's best. Our budget can afford it. We make it a priority. A couple years ago, we decided with the crime rate increasing across the state of California that we would hire 2 more officers. At that time, it was like, well, how are we going to pay for it? Well, it didn't matter. We will find the money. We will get those officers on the streets. So you have my commitment and promise that I will always support this and bring the safest protection to each and every one of you. I do want to leave you with one more thought, is if we did outsource it, we would lose our fire departments that we have. We have 3 of them, and we don't know if they would keep one of them. And so just imagine the response time. Right now we have a wonderful response time. They're there within minutes. But coming from San Dimas or Claremont, it could be 5-6 minutes. So I commit to you that I will protect this.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Matthew Lyons, the same question, sir.
Yeah, I'm going to echo what a lot of what's already been said. When you talk to Laverne residents, they love their full-service city and their full-service police and fire. And being a full-service city is expensive. If you compare the cost between Laverne and San Dimas for police only, just for your information, the economic reality is a $12 million cost versus about a $6 million cost. So given the fact that there is that additional cost in being a full-service city, we need to do everything that we can to make sure that our police and fire are working in a safe environment. They have the tools, they have the training, and they have the staffing to continue to provide you with the level of service that you deserve. So that would be my commitment. If those 4 areas were ever at risk, I would be very concerned as a resident and as a council member. We need to make sure that the working environment is safe. To add to that, we have a long-established planning commission, and I think we're long overdue in creating a public safety commission that would be driven by community involvement, who could add value to the necessary dialogue so that we make sure that public safety, which is something that you tell us is a top priority, that we keep it going on an ongoing dialogue, and we make sure that we're delivering on the service that you want as residents. Thank you.
Just for the mayor. Thank you, sir. I had a question that I was originally flagged for the mayoral candidates, and then on closer inspection, I saw that there's interest among what all of you may say, so we're trying to sort out how to do
Excuse
that.
me, sir.
Let's just begin with this.
Excuse me, Mr. Moderator. I don't think Mr.
I
Hepburn's had
haven't
an
spoken
opportunity to
yet.
answer yet.
I didn't do the answer yet.
You are correct, sir. I apologize.
I want to hear what he has to say.
Please proceed.
I fully support our police and fire. I've been involved with them ever since we've been in the community. My concern is this: as long as our residents are safe and we have the proper public safety, we have the proper equipment and tools and items for our police and fire to keep our residents safe, then we keep them as private. If that changes, we have to look at other options. Thank you.
Sir, I apologize to you for that. That was not an intentional slight.
I kept it short.
This is what happens when we hear in courtroom evidence about divided attention. This next question, as I started to say, originally was asked to the mayoral candidates. We're going to bootstrap that into all, and I'll tell you how we're going to do that with a show of hands later, and that'll save some time, and we can move on. Mr. Hepburn, if you please, the question here is, if California becomes a sanctuary state, what will Laverne's position be? And the rest of you folks may note that question, because I'll be asking for not a discussion, but a show of hands, which way you would go for the council people. Mr. Hepburn, you may go ahead.
Our policy currently with our police department is, excuse me here, I have my notes. Our current policy of our police department is, our immigration policy, it doesn't allow for officers to stop people solely on the fact that they believe the individual to be undocumented. Officers are still required to comply with policy and state laws that dictate when officers are in contact with someone. Having difficulty reading, sorry, it's very small. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I can see. Oh, you've got bifocals, I love it. In our everyday contact with victim, witnesses do not check for legal status in this country.
This is the order.
Sanctuary city. The issue is this. Thank you. The issue is this. If an undocumented worker is a felon or has created an egregious crime, then my feel is they should be deported. As far as the immigration laws, I think our city does a very good job on policing and watching people that come into our community. And they're very fair. They do not hold, they release. And I think our police department does an unbelievable, fantastic job on that, and is fair to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mayor Kendrick.
They're not bifocals, they're reading glasses. The top is just clear.
Thank you.
But they work.
They do work.
This city was founded on two levels. One, because the brethren purchased the Lordsburg Hotel and turned it into a college. And the other aspect of it was north of 8th Street was all citrus, which at one time brought the highest prices in the country for oranges. So who picked those oranges? Who worked the groves? Who became part of this family of Laverne? A lot of them were Hispanics that came over from Mexico on a program. They went back. They came back here. They sent money home. And they are as fine a resident as anybody else in Laverne, because I grew up with them and I know them. The only thing that I am concerned about is criminal activity by anybody that is in here illegally. There is more Hispanics going back to Mexico than coming to California, and has been for several years. So my concern is, are those coming here because this is a better place to create criminal activity, or is it because they want to create a job? I want to send criminals away, and I want to keep the good people. This country was created on immigration, and this city was created on people coming from someplace else. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. For the remaining council person candidates, I'm going to give you a choice, 1, 2, and 3. I'll ask 3 questions. Which of you would support Laverne as being in favor of sanctuary cities? Which of you would be opposed? And which of you would be undecided? And we'll just go through with that, and we'll just let it.
That's linear
Speak for
thinking,
itself.
you know. That's a little linear thinking right there.
Yeah, well,
The mathematician.
I'm a complex mathematician.
It's the algebra guy at the end of the table.
thank you.
That's an outstanding idea. If Mr. Moderator, the audience has a question of what definition is a sanctuary city, and I have the same question.
Well, since it wasn't provided, we'll dispense with that. Okay. Oh, there's a murmuring.
Would you like me to read? I have it. Can I have your glasses? Just happened to bring that. May I?
Yeah.
You may, sir.
Okay. Federal officials must rely on local police to help enforce federal immigration laws, but the law doesn't require local authorities to detain illegal immigrants just because their federal counterparts make a request. In fact, federal courts across the country have found complying with requests is voluntary. It is the country's policy around assistance with deportation that gauges how much a risk an immigrant is in terms of being filtered into this pipeline that Trump and his company, this is an article, said communications director, immigrant legal reasons, never mind. It's the executive order with Trump that's brought this all about, as everyone knows. Trump's executive order attempts to change the pipeline by directing federal immigration agents to target a broader group of immigrants for deportation. Previously, crime-based grounds for removal required. I'll get them here just a minute, guys. I messed up my notes. Yeah. But I do have the information.
Give a quick rundown.
Well, I've got it right here.
Okay.
Let me finish now, come on. I got my glasses on. So, sanctuary cities. This is how it works. A city police officer pulls someone over and arrests him or her for something unrelated to his citizenship, such as drunken driving or disorderly conduct, whether or not the city has a sanctuary policy. He or she is booked into a local county jail, which is usually run by the county sheriff's department. At the jail, his or her fingerprints are taken and sent to the FBI, which sends the inmates information on immigration and customs enforcement. U.S. laws requires that information sharing between local and federal law enforcement agencies. If ICE finds the inmate undocumented, it submits a detainer request to the county jail. ICE typically asks jails to hold inmates on extra 48 hours after they would otherwise be released so they can get a warrant to begin deportation proceedings. Under Trump's new policy, ICE could begin deportation earlier in the process before criminal proceedings are complete. The Department of Homeland Security has said that the complying with these requests is voluntary because keeping someone in jail without a warrant violates Fourth Amendment rights. So what happens next depends on county policy. If the county says no, not being a sanctuary city, if the jail is in a county with the policy of frequently declining these requests, the inmate is released once the criminal case is complete. If he or she is convicted but doesn't face additional jail time, if charges are dropped or bail is met. A Department of Justice Inspector General report found that some jails will only comply with a detainer request when the inmate has prior felony convictions, gang membership, or is on a terrorist watch list. Others reject every detaining request. On the other side, for yes, a sanctuary.
I'm going to cut you off here because
You don't want me to say any more?
no.
Nobody wants it?
So based on that,
Okay,
what's Laverne's
look.
policy?
Just a moment here.
We are.
The call of the question was if
I'm sorry.
California becomes a sanctuary state and you were placed in a conflict between complying with federal law and with California law, What say you, which side of the street you're going to be on? How many will support the federal position? Hands up. How many of you will support the state position? Hands up. How many of you haven't got a decision yet? Hands up.
Can I just add, you know what? I support the longstanding, effective policy of our local agency.
Which apparently is a sanctuary city.
Okay. And I'm going to add in here, in the event that there's a withholding of funds which could affect your budget, is that going to sway your decision? How many say yes? Anybody say no?
Given the current structural budget deficit that the city has,
Okay.
I think we all have to take any threat from state or federal government very seriously, because we have to be stewards of our very limited treasury. And so when you talk about threats like that from the federal government, you're talking about programs like the senior lunch program. I take great offense to that.
Mr. Moderator, can we answer the original question?
I've got the direction that the wind blows. That's all I need for this question. You got something else for me?
This is just like the federal, no, it's great. I feel like this is a real,
It is. Maybe I went too much. Like,
Not in favor of these.
I do not support Laverne becoming a sanctuary city.
All right,
100%.
gentlemen.
Thank you.
Come to order, if you please. We're going to get this train back on the track and rolling down the road. This is a question for all candidates, all council candidates, beginning with Mr. Garwick. What organizations, for which organizations do you volunteer?
Currently, I'm not a volunteer for any organization. My time is put to test. I spend phenomenal amounts of time developing curriculum without being paid on my own for my forensic science class. I spend a tremendous amount of time traveling to and from seeing my children at their colleges. And that's not an organization that I can put up on the volunteer board. That's an obligation that I take and I will not shirk from. So I don't hesitate on that position. That is where I stand right now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Davis.
okay, so this is a test of memory. So I volunteer for the Bonita Unified School District Technology Committee that's working on personalized learning. I volunteer for AYSO as a coach and a referee. I volunteer for Girl Scouts. I volunteer for a cheer team. I volunteer for any student who wants tutoring in mathematics, and there are many. I volunteer at my church in both the Stewardship and Finance Committee and the Property Commission. I volunteer for our local community pool as a president. I volunteer, well, that's enough. That's as much as my mind can hold right now.
You're 2 minutes left.
Mr. Carr, could you
I've
answer?
served as a volunteer tennis coach with the City of Laverne tennis program since 2010, and I've coached a lot of students, and both juniors and adults. And I see one of my students here. Thank you for being here. I've volunteered with State Senator Dr. Ed Hernandez in West Covina. It was part of my internship as part of my program at the Drucker School of Management. And while I was in high school from 2008 to 2010, I volunteered with Congressman David Dreyer at his campaign headquarters in San Dimas. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilwoman Carter, please.
A very dear friend that is in the audience once told me that volunteering is in my DNA. Since I moved here 38 years ago, I have been involved in some aspect of the city all the time. Right now, I am president and founder of the Laverne Tennis Association. As a volunteer, I've ran this organization for 35 years. And I am involved in the school district still. I mentioned earlier the golf tournament for the Ed Jones Memorial, and that raises money for our schools, for the teachers' grants, and for kids to be able to get different things that they need for school. It was on the bond oversight committee for the school district, and I stay continuously involved with that. But beyond that, I am the liaison for the Chamber of Commerce, and I am a board member for Tri-City Mental Health. I am on the Gold Line committee, and I'm going to see that train through to our city here, and it's going to be wonderful. And the list goes on, so I'll stop at this time. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Mr. Lyons, if you please, sir.
You know what? Cities, organizations, schools, they thrive because of volunteers, and oftentimes they can't exist without them. And so my father taught me through action, show up and add value. And I've had the pleasure of doing that for some time as a Laverne resident. I currently serve on the Bond Oversight Committee for Bonita Unified School District. That was a recent appointment. Ever since my son has been going to school, I've been going to PTA meetings. You show up and you leave with a title. I made a comment and I said, you know what, the PTAs need to be more connected and more involved with the business community. I left that meeting with a title of Chamber of Commerce Liaison and had been working with the Chamber of Commerce for many years through that role. That evolved into a community engagement PR chair for Grace Miller PTA. Worked on their fall festival for, I believe, 6 years. And again, showing up and adding value. Every single year we've done bigger and better. And it's now the second largest fundraiser for the school. And those are big impacts. In addition to my specific schoolwork or volunteerism, I do work with the Laverne San Dimas Educational Foundation, and I'm also an ASO soccer coach and ref. Basically anything my son's involved in, you'll find me volunteering for. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We have some questions that are posed to individual candidates. The first question is for Mr. Davis, and that is, what have you done for your community?
Hey, we don't need to read
Can't remember.
Yeah. Repeat, please.
What have I done for my community? Well, last night, as a matter of fact, I was just honored as a special friend to the Roynan Elementary School for the work I've been doing there. I actually forgot that on the earlier volunteering piece because I come from a family of teachers and preachers, and essentially if you're not at a school or teaching or tutoring, you're not doing anything. So what have I done for my community? I have bicycled to work whenever I can, which is 21 miles at one office and 12 miles at another office to try to reduce greenhouse gas. I have engaged my children in riding their bicycles to school to try to help encourage a lightening of the road and a better use of our roadways and byways. I have tutored children at our elementary schools and our middle school and our college to try to help them excel in mathematics, because mathematics is really a foundational piece that all y'all should know, and if you don't, all your children need to know it, because that's the way the future is going. Those are just a few of the things that I've done for this community.
Thank you, sir. Councilwoman Carter, this question is to you. Did you contact the Laverne Fire Association to ask for their support, and did you not support their last contract?
No, I did not contact the fire department for endorsement. I heard later, we were not invited to be interviewed, but I heard later that they did endorse 2 candidates. I will say, Don Kendrick and I were 2 of the council members that were on the council when we enacted a contract to the fire department. They were not happy with that, but we felt with every other employee group having the responsibility of paying their share of their retirement, that we needed to do that to the fire department. I will still stand behind that. I feel we did the right thing. I can say that right now that every single employee group does pay their share into the retirement, and they should. Every one of us, pay into ours, and so that, is a obligation that we all have. So it might not have made a lot of points with the fire department, but I stand behind that. That was the right thing to do for our community.
Thank you. This next question is for Tim Hepburn. And there are 3 questions. They all sort of merge into one general one, and I'm going to paraphrase it a little bit, sir. It says, your recorded message I received at home, you stated, I stop Walmart from coming. Can you clarify how one individual stopped this? The follow-on seems to be questioning how you could do that if you weren't on council at the time. Could you speak to that? And the last one talks about, I'm not sure if I can characterize it correctly, so I'll just read it as is, and maybe you can make sense out of it. If council would have voted no for Walmart and ultimately not approved, would that mean a grocery store would not be able to be approved there in the future? Then we wouldn't be getting a Sprouts, correct? Question mark. Could you explain how you got Sprouts to come to Laverne?
That's a loaded
It
one.
seems a little
Let me clarify the
difficult
first
for
one.
me to package that.
If my robocall said that I was responsible, that's incorrect. I was the dissenting vote on the Planning Commission to not let Walmart come to our community. It was 3 residents that put a lawsuit on through combined properties to Walmart and the city on their CEQA requirements. And that lawsuit, it was the residents that did it. I was just a dissenting vote, so I assisted. It was not my deal that happened with Walmart. It happened that the residents won their lawsuit. The combined properties, Walmart dropped their desire to be at that facility, and the Sprouts grocery store came in and occupied the place. What was the third part of that question?
Sir, it was
regarding the Walmart, as
Yeah.
far as
It-
what originally when we originally went this, go back a few years when I was on the Planning Commission, when we had our forum with all the residents and talking about Walmart coming or not coming and what you wanted, there was an attorney that was sitting right over here that stated to us, if you do not allow Walmart to come and you do not allow them to build their store, you will not be allowed to put a grocery store in that location. That irritated me to no end because he's telling us what we can do in our community. Well, fast forward, the residents' involvement with the lawsuit basically went ahead, it won, they dropped all that, and they allowed Sprouts to come in. So does that explain it?
Thank you, sir. The next question is for Mr. Kendrick. It refers to an earlier time. It says, on February 7th, at the Fountains Mobile Home Park Forum, you stated that you did not receive the endorsement of the Laverne Firefighters Association because you did not support their contract. Can you elaborate? The follow-on question is, did you call them for your endorsement?
First of all, I'm just going to piggyback on what Council Member Robin Carter said. We did not get called. We found out that they had endorsed Councilmember Hepburn for mayor and Keith Garwick for city council. And the reason is because there's, when you negotiate, all the other employee groups, the management, mid-management, police, everybody was negotiating to pay their own portion of the employees for their retirement. And the fire department said, we're pretty special. We're the best liked group in Laverne, and so we're going to fight it, and we think the residents will back us up. And we said, no, we're not going to support that because we're all in this together. We're in the middle of the recession. Everybody has to work together for everybody, and that means you can't put your burden on the residents. And they didn't like that. And so there's a term called we imposed the contract, meaning we negotiated, but they had to accept that they were going to be paying on a tiered level until they took several years until they paid their retirement, just like everybody else, and they didn't like that. So the people that were endorsed, which was Councilmember Hepburn for mayor and for Garwick, were not involved in that decision. Tim was not on the city council at the time, and obviously Keith Garwick wasn't on it, and because of his relationship as a police officer, I guess that's the endorsement. But Robin and I were the only ones that stood up and said, nope, the residents are speaking, and you have to be a part of the successful team of paying your own retirement. And that's how that works out.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The next question is for Mr. Garwick. Sir, your campaign statement notes that you served as a police officer in Laverne, yet the police department terminated your employment. Can you explain?
No, I won't discuss that.
All right, this one is for all mayoral and council candidates. We'll begin with Mr. Carr and work our way back. What business growth opportunities do you see in the city? Mr. Carr.
One of the campaign promises that I'm making is investing and keeping our local businesses. And you'll hear that from, all of the candidates. Our city was founded, our city thrives on local businesses and small businesses. And that goes in line with the homegrown virtuous values. I don't want to invest in businesses that we've already seen and already invested in. I want to invest in local businesses and small businesses that are forward-looking. Let's get technological. Let's get technology-based businesses in. Let's get the innovative sector into Laverne. We've had restaurants, we've had grocery stores, we'll have restaurants and we'll have grocery stores. Let's look towards the future. Let's invest in smaller businesses, in micromanagement, and let's get the next big thing in Laverne. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The same question, what business opportunity or business growth opportunities do you see in the city, goes to Councilwoman Carter.
Well, as you heard in my report earlier, that we're pretty full with businesses in all the shopping centers. What I recommend is that we really work hard on enhancing these businesses in town. Many years ago, back when I was 28 years old, I was the acting director at the Chamber of Commerce. And with the director we had for the board of directors, he and I worked hard to come up with the slogan, Shop Laverne. And that's still going till this day. And that's something we really need to encourage everyone. And I think if we get more people from northern Laverne to come downtown, you will see some of the wonderful restaurants and businesses downtown, and vice versa. Downtown needs to come up to Foothill Boulevard. See some of the businesses up there. We're going to have some great restaurants coming to town. So The Chamber of Commerce right now is, as I said, I'm the liaison with them, so I work closely with them. They are advertising for a new marketing director / receptionist for their office. And this is going to help the Chamber of Commerce keep up the membership, and so that they can work with the businesses to help them prosper and keep going in our city. We need to get the word out to everyone that we are here, and other cities, let them come here. There's some San Dimas councilmen that I work with on Gold Line, and they said they love Cafe Allegro. They come here weekly. That's the kind of information we want out there.
Thank you, Ms. Carter. Mr. Matthew Lyons, the same question. What business growth opportunities do you see in the city, sir?
Well, you know what, I'd like to continue what Robin had just mentioned, and that's taking care of what we already have. And the mayor earlier talked about his subcommittee on economic development. It's a subcommittee of the council, and I propose enhancing that into a full-fledged economic development committee driven by stakeholders from throughout the community. Stakeholders from our business improvement district, our chamber, University of Laverne, your average resident, your seniors, and just talk to them on an ongoing basis to grow what we already have and to develop a Shop Laverne program that is the model one. You can look to Claremont, you can look to San Dimas, who have created those partnerships with the city and the chamber and have built truly a Shop Laverne program, or a Shop Local program that creates the city as a destination point. So what I envision is a dining experience that turns into a shopping experience. A shopping experience that turns into a dining experience, and both turning into a love affair of Laverne. And I think we can do that by engaging each and every one of you in those conversations. What would it take for you to spend more money in Laverne? Where would you go? What would you like to see? And then really deliver what it is that you're looking for. And I think that would be a great opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lyons. Mr. Tim Hepburn, the same question. What business growth opportunities do you see in the city?
Well, we do have a 6% vacancy rate right now, which is really low, very low. We also, between our Chamber of Commerce, and also we belong to the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership, which I'm sure a lot of people know. Jeff Allred is the president of that organization. And what it is an active website where you can go on and you can pick a place in Laverne, any piece of property. It'll tell you the demographics and restaurants around there for retailers that would like to come in and put money in our city. It's very exciting, and with our new brochures that we have for the Shop Laverne, we're at that precipice right now where I personally would like to see more of the niche restaurants like the Chases and the 4th Street Mills. A lot for our younger families with strollers and kids and our grandparents and our, all the families and seniors come downtown and communicate and socialize, and I think we're at that point right now. So I think the San Gabriel Valley Economic Partnership, along with our Chamber of Commerce, along with some really fine places downtown, I think that they're going to come to us. So we need to be, let's bring some really good retailers, some niche clothiers, and some fine restaurants for all of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hepburn. Mayor Kendrick, the same question. What business growth opportunities do you see in the city?
I'm going to start off by saying our Chamber of Commerce needs some help. I've been a member of that chamber for over 20 years, and it is struggling right now when Brian McNerney left, and we need to get a new leader in there, and we need to get businesses back in tune with the Chamber of Commerce. That's the first thing. There's a working group going on around the Gold Line development. I don't know if anybody knows that north 10.5 acres of the Fairplex is in Laverne. It's owned by the Fairplex. They want to be a part of a very significant development along Arrow Highway, all the way over to include Fairplex Liquor, which was, for those of us that have been here a while, it's a Lopez Liquor. First Street from White to E, it's as bad now as it was when I was riding my bike to school, and I know it was when you were riding your bike to school, Muir. So we need to get some really cool development. It's going to be office, it's going to be retail, it's going to be homes, people to live in, so it's a work-play type of situation. Also, when you think about big boxes, how many people get stuff from Amazon and other things that are dropped off at their front door? So you start looking at the big boxes along Foothill Boulevard and you say, how long are those big boxes going to last? So we need to look in the future and make plans that, are those big boxes going to be there, or are we going to have to break those down into smaller units? And what are we going to put in those units, because those are anchor tenants? Also, our theater. Netflix is taking an amazing amount of people away from our theaters, decrease the amount of seating, try to improve it. I don't think our theater is going to be there in 10 to 15 years. What's it going to be? What's it going to look like? And what are the things that are going to provide it? Gilead, just finishing up their building, 500 employees within a few years. Within 5 to 7 years, we're going to see 1,000 employees down there, and they're going to be shopping in this town. So great future, but we really have to look at it and make sure that it's good.
Thank you, Mayor Kendrick. Mr. Keith Garwick, the same question. What business growth opportunities do you see in the city, sir?
Well, the growth opportunities, as it was said, we have about 6% vacancy, but the growth opportunities are unquestioned. Right now, this is a great community. People wake up, they go to work, they go to school, they go get something to eat, they go shopping. It's a community that has a great service economy around it, and a huge portion of these are small businesses, 1 to 5 employees. But there's so much more opportunity for us to grow. We have a fantastic school, University of Laverne, a couple of great high schools that feed directly into our local universities. The Cal State and the University of California systems around here are unquestioned. They're fantastic schools. The Claremont schools nearby. With the transportation hubs that we have, with our own airport that can land a fairly significant sized airplane, it's actually kind of cool to see the B-17s land sometimes. And we have the light rail system coming through, the Gold Line expansion. And then you throw on top of there the recent pharmaceutical, Gilead Sciences, the development here. We now have the opportunity to watch this community, to guide this community, not just watch it along for the ride, but to guide the community, to see Laverne become the crown jewel of the foothills for research, development, and learning. That's what I intend to do. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Davis, the same question. What business growth opportunities do you see in the city, sir?
The Gold Line is coming, and we don't want to wait for the Gold Line. I think we want to take action now. We've got some beautiful hills, beautiful roads, beautiful trails. We've got the airport, Benelli Park. We've got an opportunity to create Laverne as a destination community for visitors who want to be engaged in active transportation, want to be able to live in mixed living, which is, medium density housing along First Street and mixed commercial use along Arrow. We've got a whole strip of Arrow that can be redeveloped. And I agree that we need to reconsider and think about what's going to happen in 10 to 15 years along Foothill Boulevard. I think we've got a great deal of opportunities in the next 5 years and the next 10, 15 years as well. So I would simply say, bicycles and the Gold Line.
Thank you, sir. This next question is posed to all candidates, including the mayoral candidates. The question is, current transportation policies favor making our streets fast routes through town rather than tying our community together. Do you have a vision for a more people-friendly street system? So it has to do with traffic and the passage of traffic through the city, whether it be emphasizing transmission or retention. Beginning with Councilwoman Robin Carter.
Okay, if I understand you correctly, I'm feeling that you're asking, what can we do to slow the traffic down?
Well, let me repose the question in case I misrepresented it in my friendly way. Current transportation policies favor making our streets fast routes through town rather than tying our community together. Do you have a vision for a more people-friendly street system?
Thank you for repeating that. Yes, I do. I really want us to work, as Mir said, more bike-friendly city. We have been working on this for a while now, and actually today I took a bike ride with our local cycling group. 2.5 hours we rode through to go all over the city, and they enlightened me quite a bit. We could bring people together by caring more about one another, getting them out on the streets, and people will use the transportation, whether it's biking, walking. If we have the bike lanes, they can use those, and they will care about one another, and then hopefully that's less traffic on the streets.
Thank you. Mr. Matthew Lyons, same question, sir. Would you like to have it repeated?
No, I think we got it. So people-friendly transportation city, making the city more walkable or bikeable. I think we've got a golden opportunity. It's my understanding that the city of Laverne received a grant a year or 2 years earlier than they had anticipated, which allows them to advance a transportation plan. And you know what? I think the local area bicycle coalitions have done a great job in leading the leaders in this regard. And I think it's critical in order to move our city forward to the best possible solutions that we engage the population that is using the roads most frequently, that we engage the communities that are using the streets occasionally, and engage the communities that aren't using the streets for some reason or another. And I think we have an opportunity to get this right. With the Gold Line coming, active transportation, what folks call the first and last mile, getting people to the mass transit. We have the local area bicycle coalitions. We've got residents who are passionate about making our streets more bikeable and walkable. My recommendation is don't settle for just public comment. Demand that they're publicly engaged in the process from day one. And that's how you'll deliver a much more walkable and bikeable city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lance. We turn now to Mr. Hepburn, Councilman Hepburn.
Now that the Gold Line is going to be coming, it's going to change the dynamics of our community in a whole. And I think the biggest change is going to be that we're going to have possibly quiet zones, either that or grade separations for our trains, but also the fact that we do have the $1.5 million grant. And I also took a ride with the Laverne Bike Coalition. I was amazed. There's places that I've never seen. I've lived here 34 years that we're behind the times. And we really need to get on board here to design this correctly, but also to bring the people that know how to design these, urban planners, people that are experts in the field of designing bike lanes, bike boxes, trip zones for bikes that come up to the signal and trip it instead of cars. We need to make sure that we design these streets now so that the young families or people that bike, the biking community, young families, can make it through the city safely and make sure that the transportation safely. And also we need to work on our congestion to make sure that we reduce the congestion and make the streets so we have even flow and let it for access for some of our community members, like White Avenue, to get to downtown Laverne and not have to get in an accident every time someone comes across that intersection because there's too much traffic flow. We're working on that right now. Make sure there's a lane up, lane down, and make sure there's a turn lane so residents can safely move across. And have crosswalks with blinkers to make sure our residents can flow safely. We're at the precipice right now. The $1.5 million grant is going to help us tremendously, but as Mr. Lyons said, We must design it correctly with our residents' input and experts. It's very important how we do that. Residents, residents, residents input. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hepburn. Mayor Kendrick, the same question.
We are just completing the Gilead project, and as of, I think, the end of this week, the Wheeler Avenue is going to go all the way from the top of Laverne all the way down to Pudding Stone Drive. And it's going to be 4 lanes all the way. So that is going to, then you can go east or west. Most likely you will go east to Fairplex and then probably go south to the freeway. So that is going to be an easy way to do it. In the early 80s, when the Target store development area was put in, and that was the beginning of the redevelopment agency, they made an S-turn from White up to Fruit. White used to dead end straight ahead into Foothill, and Fruit was a street that only went from Foothill to Baseline. They did not connect. But when they connected, then it made more of a thoroughfare from South Pomona all the way to Baseline. Then the freeway came through. So you got 210. That road, White Avenue, connects 4 freeways. And through Laverne, through the old part of Laverne, it has one way in each direction. I'm not sure we have the answers yet. There's a traffic engineer right now that is very involved, and he's an avid bicyclist. So we've got the right person looking at a plan, and hopefully when this is all said and done, everybody's going to be happy. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Garwick.
Thank you. The question, I don't think, accurately represents the situation here. While I served as a police officer, I conducted countless traffic collision investigations, traffic collision reconstructionist, and I have seen collisions on virtually every aspect and every part of our roadway. The current transportation plan is very old. It's approaching 20 years old for a comprehensive plan, and since then it's been bisected by the Interstate 210. Roll back the clock let's go back to 2003. The IS 210 has not quite opened up yet, and we had at that time an additional 50,000 cars on Foothill, on Baseline, every morning and every day, every night. If you remember trying to get to the freeway, if you lived in Claremont and you're trying to get here, then you're stuck for 45 minutes. 45 minutes to go 3 miles. The city is 3 miles wide and 3 miles long. It's 3 by 3. It's a small city. And to get to take that many cars and put through it, in order to do this correctly, what we need to do, in my belief, is go back and redo the traffic study completely. We have a lot that has changed. We have a railway that's going in. It's going to change even more. But the freeway has fundamentally changed the traffic, as has just time and traffic patterns. Now, I believe that what we need to do is look at the 2 issues and isolate the one issue, which is to get as many cars that are going through the city, get them through the city. They're trying to get through the city. Gotcha, 30 seconds. The ones that are trying to be in the city and drive around in the city, or people that want to commute in the city, accommodate for that desire and that need. And make sure that we're addressing both of the issues, because the 2 are not mutually incompatible. And we can only do that if we stand back, look at it, and look hard and long at the study and make sure that we've got the information that we need. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Davis, your views on the matter, sir?
On December 5th of this last year, I spoke to the Laverne City Council about White Avenue, and I proposed a plan that is in what cycling terms is called a complete street. Lanes for cars, a lane for turning, and lanes for bicycles. However, nobody remembers my remarks because a little later that evening, my daughter, inspired by my remarks, got up and as a 10-year-old told the city council how she rides her bike to Roynan, and how a friend of hers her uncle won't let her ride on White Avenue because it's too dangerous. And that is true. My mother, who's 84, or actually she's 87, who converted from a bicycle to a tricycle when she was 84, still rides on White Avenue. Friends and neighbors are all looking out for my family, and I really appreciate that. I think that with automobiles, the tendency for traffic control is to concentrate the vehicles onto a few streets. For those who remember, before Interstate or Highway 210 was completed, traffic flow was east and west. As soon as 210 went through, the traffic turned 90 degrees. It was as if polar north just shifted on us. I believe that once Gold Line comes in, that traffic patterns north and south will alleviate some because people will simply be going to the Gold Line station on Arrow. I do believe that in contrast to automobile traffic, for bicycle traffic, you actually want to diffuse traffic. So it's better if we make more streets bicycle friendly on the quieter streets so that families with children and my daughter who's riding to school can be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Carr, the same question, sir.
So the city conducted a survey, a citizen satisfaction survey, and residents said that traffic was their #1 concern with the 93 response rate. You heard a lot of great, ideas and plans, but there is a transportation plan, and the city council hasn't acted on it, and traffic's growing. It's grown, it will continue to grow, and with the coming Gold Line, it's going to get even worse. I have some simple solutions that I think can help, alleviate this problem. First, let's get more bike lanes involved. Let's look at the streets, like Muir mentioned, that are more quiet, that we can allocate bike lanes to have places for families with small children and even bicyclists to safely ride. Let's revamp our marketing. Let's get text alerts to citizens. We all use navigation, but why not have a text alert system that says, if you're coming up White, the traffic's heavy, go through an alternative route. Let's market it. Next, we spoke about the coalition, the Laverne Biking Coalition, as being leaders in this project, but where was city council and where is city government in helping lead the charge? One coalition's not going to be able to do it. We need a revamped system, and we need our city government to be involved. We need our city government to be leaders, and we need our city government to take charge when they see that we have citizen coalitions leading a charge. And with that, I also support, as Tim Hepburn mentioned, having revamped city technology in terms of cross lights, having the cross lights in the walk lights in the road, and having the blinking stop signs so people can see, when cars are coming and when there might be a danger ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Okay, that took care of that. Good. I'm going to give a heads up now to everybody. We have one more question directed to the mayoral candidates, and I assume they're going to take 2 minutes apiece, and that's 4 minutes. You've got 4 minutes, everybody, to start composing your thoughts for your closing statements. I give you that courtesy. Okay. The next question is to Mayor Kendrick, and it refers to some development in the Marshall Canyon Golf Course. It says, Marshall Canyon Golf Course was recently in the news as being developed by Lewis. The community rallied to prevent this from happening. Are you in favor of having this open space built, and I presume it means built over, with homes?
No. First, that's the easy answer. I'd love to see it as a golf course. The county and Lewis got an agreement together to do a land swap, and the residents did not want it. The city council voted 5-0 against it, and so there is not going to be any development, and there's going to be increased the Marshall Canyon is going to become a better golf course because there's about $2.5 million, from what I understand, that's going to be put into it. I'm not sure that that's all it's going to be. I've been told that it may take as much as $8 million, but I've never played golf in my life. So, but I love the the setting. I think it's beautiful. There's deer up there. It's a great place to be and chase a golf ball around. But there's other places to put homes. We've got a quandary because golf is becoming a less active sport. So if people stop playing golf there, what do you do? That's a decision that all of us will make at that point in time. But my hope is that it continues to be a wonderful golf course. And I would love to see the buildings there made better so that there can be some activities up there for not only the people that play golf, but other activities for the restaurant. And a nice restaurant if possible.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Hepburn, the same question concerning the Marshall Golf Course.
Marshall Canyon Golf Course. When they were deciding to do a land swap, which was Lewis Group and Marshall Canyon, I discussed with the residents. I met with the residents at length, and I actually was I was the one that created the motion to stop the Marshall Canyon Golf Course, and the council and mayor all approved that. But this is a county facility, and the city continues to work with the county to make Marshall Canyon an even better place. It's been left alone for many years. But I want to say, the residents were the deciding factor on this. The decision that was made and the motion was because the residents did not want this county golf course to be turned into homes because it is a nature reserve, it is a park. And not only that, right now, as a matter of fact, the residents that are still working with the county have had a number of meetings, which I was able to be a part of. They are working on a management company now to take it over. 2 restaurants, activities for all youth, seniors, everyone in the community. But with the residents' involvement right now, the county has already secured $2.5 million for that place to fix it up already. The approaches, water, that's just the beginning. So again, residents, residents, residents. Without them, Marshall Canyon would not be where it's at right now with the new management group and with funding to be able to make that place an even better place. It's unbelievable up there. If you've ever golfed, I have. When you see 30 deer right on an approach or a shot, it's the most amazing thing. Bobcats, deer, you name it, what's out there. Just amazing. Thank you, residents.
Thank you, sir. We'll now enter into the third movement, and the third movement is the closing statements. We're going to do this in sections. We're going to do the mayoral candidates first, and then the councilmanic candidates. Earlier on, Mr. Hepburn went first. This time, Mr. Kendrick will go first for your closing statement.
Thank you, everybody, for coming here. Doesn't look like too many people have left. I think our biggest emphasis in this community is quality of life. Small town virtues, even though we don't have a small town anymore, we have 32,000 people. Lots of people want to come here. Values are up. But one of the things that was said earlier was that the sheriff, if we bring sheriffs in, it's going to cost us half what we pay. We don't have any clue what a sheriff contract is going to be. They don't even want to come in and do a bid because they know we don't want to go county. We want a safe place. We want our police to make it the safest it can possibly be. One of the things we did a few years ago when we discovered AB 109, AB 109 is a huge early release program, and it allowed thousands and thousands and thousands of criminals to come onto our streets. And so what we did was we investigated and purchased license plate readers. They're on all the entry-level signals. You don't have to smile when you go through the signal. They're not taking a picture of you. But they sure are taking a picture of the license plates in the front and the rear of the car. And because of this, last year, 54 stolen vehicles were recovered. Business burglaries and thefts were solved. Other crimes, one of the stolen vehicles that came off the freeway heading for Northern California was picked up at the 76 station at Damien. discovered it was a stolen car, took him down to arrest the person, discovered the LAPD wanted him for human trafficking. That's what we're dealing with. Our officers are dealing with a different criminal today, and they're coming to Laverne. It's the sign of the times. Then Proposition 47 is passed. Proposition 47 decriminalizes many things. If a criminal steals a gun and it's under $950, they get a traffic ticket. It's not acceptable, but it's the sign of the times. And the citizens of California voted on that. And this last November, Prop 57 was passed by a vote of the people. I don't know where the money's coming from to promote this, but it's allowing thousands more criminals to come into our community, and we have to be prepared. So we will be looking heavily at our public safety, making sure it's fully staffed, doing other technology things that we can do. The most important thing in this community is your safety, is your quality of life. And I can promise you that as your mayor, my 8 years have had a priority on your safety and your quality of life, and I will continue.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilman Hepburn, your closing statement, sir.
Thank you all for being here tonight. This is why we have such a great community with all our residents that come and concern themselves and want to hear what the candidates have to say. Thank you, candidates, also for coming tonight. I hope tonight was educational, and sorry about all the campaign signs. They will be down on March 8th, I promise. They'll be thrown away. So there you go. I believe I'm a good fit for the role as mayor. I do have the leadership experience, the integrity the city needs, the negotiation skills after running a business for 26 years, with 26 employees, with overhead, with a fleet of vehicles, with negotiations, with insurances, with liability, workers' comp, with union negotiations, non-union negotiations. I will work hard at getting the quality retailers and restaurants, as I stated before, in here. I'll always listen and incorporate residents' opinions at all times. It's very important. The city of Verne is a spectacular place to live, but we can make it even better. We still have issues facing the city, and I can help resolve those issues. I learn quickly, and I'm independent. I will listen to you and you alone. Most importantly, I will be forward-looking and growth-oriented. I want Laverne to thrive, not just tomorrow or next week, but for the next 10 years. And we need new leadership to accomplish these goals. Simply stated, I have the leadership, the passion, and the determination to be the mayor of Laverne. And what we need to do now is go out and vote on March 7th and vote for Tim Hepburn for mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hepburn. We now will allow the first to be last and the last to be first. As we proceed to the councilmanic positions, Mr. Lyons, your closing statement, sir.
Yeah, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Laverne will be at its best when we have informed and engaged citizens. And so I thank you for taking the time out of a Thursday night to join us, to become better acquainted with all of us. And I hope that you leave tonight as me, or with me as one of your top vote getters. I fully appreciate the fact that you probably won't agree with me 100% of the time. And heck, I love my wife dearly, and I don't agree with her 100% of the time. But the reality is I will put the citizens first. I will put the best interests of our city first. And I will focus on community building as hopefully your next council member. It would be my honor to earn your vote. Should you have any questions that remain unanswered, please don't hesitate to continue the conversation. On my campaign literature, you have my email, you have my cell phone. Feel free to reach out. I firmly believe that as a public servant, one must be accessible, and I'm happy to be accessible to answer any question that you may have to continue the conversation and hopefully earn your vote for March 7th. You take care and have a great night.
Thank you, Mr. Lyon. Councilwoman Carter.
I purposely did not talk personal at the very beginning because I wanted to save the best for last. I am very blessed with having a family that has been so supportive throughout this process. I have been married to a wonderful man for 43 years, and I feel so blessed that he is not just my husband, he is my partner in life, and I enjoy going through the journey with him each and every day. My daughter and son-in-law are here tonight too, and I thank you for that. That is what Laverne's about. It's about family. We all care about one another. We take care of each other. I also want to thank my campaign committee. Dave Zelstra is my chairperson, and he has been wonderful. The support from him and the emails and texts that I get means a lot to me. We work together, and it's been enjoyable. There are so many projects that I still want to do. I feel that drive still to give back to our community and make it even better. I asked myself when I was going to decide if I was going to run again, and there was no hesitation. I felt that over the next 4 years, I would like to see more. Well, we know now that Gold Line's not going to be completed because they delayed it 2 years, but I want to work on the process, staying on the board, working with them to make the best decisions coming through Laverne. That's one area. 2 other areas I didn't have a chance to talk about is that we also at Bonita High School, because I sit on the youth sports committee, we have been working with the district, that's one of our partnerships that we have, working with them to build a workout room / restroom / snack bar. And so the snack bar wasn't part of it, but we decided on our committee that we need to have this done. With the relationship I have with the district, I have secured $25,000 commitment from the district that once we start the process and it goes through the approval of getting the construction going, they will put that amount of money in. So that's another area. Another area too is that we have a teen center that we're looking at building in this community. Children are so important to the growth of this community. We have children that are our future, and then we have our veterans that are our past, and we can't forget them. So I'm going to continue to work. My commitment is to each and every one of you. I'm accessible, and everyone that knows me knows that you can call anytime and we will have a conversation. So I ask for your support. On March 7th, please vote for Robin Carter.
Thank you, Councilwoman Carter. Mr. Carr, your closing statement, sir.
Friends, I am Laverne's homegrown candidate. As I mentioned before, this is where I was raised, and this is where I want to raise my family. I've known Laverne for its hometown virtues, fantastic schools, quality public safety, thriving small business economy, and tranquil living. And if I'm elected to council, I'll keep it that way. I'm a young leader with the guiding values of truth, commitment, and belief. I'm ready to use those talents and my entrepreneurial spirit and passion to help make our great city even greater. Support me in supporting our community. It's time for young and proactive leadership back into our city government. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Carr. Mr. Davis, your closing statement, sir.
Thank you. I want to thank the city for hosting this event, and I really want to thank you all for being here. It makes me proud to see our community actively engage in the democracy that is the foundation of our country. Thanks to the city staff, and thank you, Moderator Duggan. Thanks to my fellow City Laverne Council candidates for engaging in this lively forum. I have lived here in Laverne most of my life. My family has been in Laverne for a long time. I want to serve and help Laverne now for the long term. We have a strong field of candidates from which to choose our next city council member. I believe that I, as an applied mathematician, add a little more. I have learned to evaluate challenges and complex issues, to consider potential outcomes and determine the desirable utilization of those outcomes. I think it is a time for our community to think beyond the linear thinking of optimizing one thing at a time, of winning or losing. We need to consider how one outcome will impact another and how other considerations will potentially impact this decision. My mathematical learning has helped me understand and confront the unknown and will facilitate my ability to serve Laverne by addressing those challenges that are very hard to address and solve. Our most important issue is to regain the closeness for our community. We need to feel comfortable and safe in our neighborhoods. We need to feel that our community is financially secure. Our community does well, but I want to eliminate some of the anxiety that the budget process causes. Embracing active transportation in our neighborhoods is also important. I want our children to have bicycle access from their homes to their schools. I'd like to see the Roynan Elementary in particular return to having hundreds of bicycles at the school rather than less than 10. I want neighbors to be able to ride around town. I want to join them in those rides around town, out to Hillcrest, out to the mobile home parks, to Benelli Park, up to Marshall Canyon Golf Course. I will work to help our residents feel safe riding around town. Our streets are safer when neighbors are out and about. Again, I ask you to please vote for me, Muir Davis, on March 7th. Please tell your friends and neighbors on March 7th to vote for Muir Davis. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Garwick, your closing comments, sir.
Thank you, Mayor, very much for your time and your patience for being here today. I want to stress something that we do not live in a world of absolutes. There are no right answers and wrong answers to every single question, and many times we don't understand the information that we have. It's important, it's critical that we do not live in a world of gossip, innuendo, or fear. When we have a question, we ask the question, we discuss it as best as possible. If not here, then elsewhere. I've spent thousands and thousands and thousands of investigations here in this city protecting you, protecting your homes, protecting your children, protecting your families. I've devoted my life to public service. I know what it is to fight an enemy, and I know what it is to be afraid. We can't let that rule us. We have, as the mayor has said, thousands and thousands of prisoners that are being released, and they're going to continue to be released. And we have quite a fight on our hands with this issue, and that's not going to go away. And we don't want to be doing this with somebody that hasn't done this before. I spend virtually all of my free time now not working for an organization as a volunteer, but dedicating my time to developing something that doesn't even exist yet, developing a curriculum that doesn't have a home yet. I'm passionate about teaching. I love teaching, connecting with students and learning more from them sometimes than they learn from me. And I wouldn't give that up for the world. Be that as it may, a big part of teaching is explaining things, abstract concepts. I can't stand abstract concepts. I have to find a way to understand it in context. That's just how I work. I'm mechanical, physics, things like that. And one of the concepts that came up was stewardship. And I'd like to talk about that just for a moment. Stewardship, to sum it up, is making hard decisions now, decisions that will hurt us now, because they're the right choices to make. We might not see the fruit come to us, but it'll be there for our children, our grandchildren, and so on. I started the Carob Tree Project to try to explain that to people. You come by my table and get a carob tree kit. You'll be able to read more on it. You plant this thing, and you're not going to see anything from it for 25, 30 years. There's not going to be any fruit for you or me. But our children will. They'll see the fruit. And for 100 years, people will be able to eat that fruit and then harvest the wood. That's the kind of commitment that we have to our future. This town, this city, can be a gem beyond anybody's comprehension. but only if we push it that way and we carry it that way. I appreciate your time, and I ask you to vote for me. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have gone through a lot of questions, but I think we only covered about 1/4 of the number of questions that were submitted. We've had excellent audience participation. I want to thank the volunteers who showed up and tried to make this thing work. I apologize for whatever shortcomings I had in the matter, but you stand up, you take your best shot, and then you commit the rest to the Lord. Please give these folks a round of applause. I'm told there are refreshments in the back for those who wish to imbibe in something wholesome. The candidates will be available if you can find them and pursue your questions further, the ones we did not get to. Thank you for being here. We are on schedule and under budget. Have a good evening.
Can we thank our moderator as well, please?